All right. So, what in the wide world of sports is going on? John, hear you there. It's Tuesday Thoughts. And Jarrett, offline, is intrigued and or fired up. So, I don't know if you saw it, but Atlanta United is posting one of their, five stripes don't stop kind of things. And it's done nicely in an anime kind of a deal. And it looks like Atlanta and New York City, and so I mean, it looks like some of the Atlanta buildings, New York buildings, and then all of a sudden a soccer ball launches toward Mount Fuji and creates a sunburst in the air. So that happened 4 minutes ago. 4 minutes ago. 4. Traditionally, when something like this happens, we actually get the chance to break some news during the show. Not like something happens and then, clubs wait 3 and 4 hours and then something happens and we have to sit there and go, what the F? What the ish is going on here? So so taking Atlanta United at their anime making best. Keep an eye on social media. Set your notifications starting around 9:55. Like I said, I have no foreknowledge of any kind of a transaction. I'm just sitting here going, "Oh, that happened." So, if that in fact happened, usually something happens about 9, news breaks about 10. So, we'll see. You've got folks that are extrapolating relationships with Ronnie Dyla and his past in Scotland. Is it Daisen Maeda? Is it Furuhashi-san? Is it, choice D, all the above? But we don't know. Like I said, we don't know. I have no foreknowledge of anything going on. But like I said, traditionally, the way that this goes is that if you have something that is tied in early, then 10 if 9 o'clock or 8:30 or whenever, somewhere in the 9 o'clock hour, then 10 o'clock is usually when the news breaks. So starting around 9:55 Eastern time, so 47 minutes from now, set your notifications appropriately. So we'll see if it is in fact Furuhashi-san. Is it in fact Furuhashi-san? Is it Daisen Maeda? Is it both? Yeah, if it was both, then by the way, if it was both, mm, you know, that Jarrett, if this in fact is going to be either some combination of Daisen Maeda or Kyogo Furuhashi, that Jarrett is going to have to come on the show. He's going to have to break all of this down for us. And he's going to have to explain what Furuhashi-san and or Daisen Maeda bring to the table. Is this a two-person swoop? Is this just one? We will see. So, once again, Atlanta United and their social media team putting an anime together on a Five Stripes Don't Stop. Going from what looked like some of the offices in Midtown to New York. Soccer ball flies, creates a sunburst or creates a starburst around Mount Fuji. So we'll keep an eye on that. I guess technically that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Keep an eye on Atlanta United and their animes. Once again, you click on the QR code or you just go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You start your day there. with our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15 when you start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Because, you could buy out the entire store. You could buy out Kickoff Coffee for everything that they do. You could buy them out. But then if you use the code SoccerDownHere15, you could buy them out at a 15% discount. So you could literally buy out the store, but then buy it out at a 15% discount. They, in turn, take 10%. Reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives, very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So there you go. All right. So the way things are laying out, let's just go ahead and go down this. Let's go down this roll. Let's go down this road. Kyogo Furuhashi. Okay, fine. So if we go top, so I'm looking at latest. So, and once again, this is literally, I am literally trying to sit here and blow through what's going on in the 280 character app. I'm that guy that's going to sit there and go in and sit there in notifications, go, okay, Kyogo Furuhashi, bang, and then you hit latest. So in French, somebody with like 12 followers. Oh, 11,008. Okay. A PSG supporter and an Atlanta United supporter with 11,800 followers. Okay. Neil B. In French, and then translated. Atlanta's teasing us with an arrival. Given the teaser, looks like the arrival of Kyogo Furuhashi from Celtic Glasgow, who is, according to some rumors, targeted by Atlanta. Atlanta would have found its 9 ? So there you go. So once again, 11,800 followers. Let's say, nah. You see how exciting this is? Me scrolling through the latest on the 280 character app. Is it Hatate? Is it Furuhashi? Is it Maeda? Is it all of them? That's what we're staring at here. So that's what we're looking at. Kyogoritsu Furuhashi is an actual ID plate on the 280 character app. So keep an eye out. Is it Maeda? Is it Hatate? Is it Furuhashi-san? So we will keep an eye out for this. 5 stripes don't stop. Hashtag 5 stripes don't stop. And so when this announcement does in fact happen, this means that Jarrett's going to have to come in and explain it all. He's going to be like Clarissa. He's going to be Clarissa for us when it comes to Celtic players. And it may, the idea that Ronnie Dylo would chase after Celtic players makes entirely too much sense. So, Hatate, Maeda, Furuhashi-san. So when in fact, whichever one of these happens, Jarrett has to come in here and he's got to explain all of this. So we all get smart in a hurry. So here is so like I said, we'll keep an eye out for all of it. So like I said, is it Hatate? Is it Maeda? Is it Furuhashi-san? We'll keep an eye out. So keep an eye out in about 40 minutes when things start to, lay themselves into place, and we'll sit there and see what's going on. All right. So we got that to keep an eye on this morning. We've got all of the news from yesterday. So of course we talk about Brandon Vasquez. And so, of course, is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? It looks like it's going to happen. So, of course, once the show goes off the air yesterday, it happened. $10 million for Brandon Vasquez to go from Rayados to Austin FC. to become their new designated player. We got that to talk about this morning. All of the news from yesterday. You had a couple of transactions. You had Jalen Neal being moved. You had obviously Brandon Vasquez being moved. All right, so let me get into the let me get into the so Jalen Neal, Brandon Vasquez, Fabian Erbers. We talked about Kokoro yesterday. Michael Adedikan, the Chicago Fire picking up another individual. We talked about Omar Campos. Emma Boateng gets traded for San Diego. Noah Buck is back in New England. We talked about Hamas. People are already talking about Hamas. So, and then NYCFC hired their new head coach. So all of this stuff we'll get into today. It was also announced that the USMNT has their roster for the January camp. We'll get into that this morning. And anything else that is going on your brain. So, and if you missed it, don't forget, if you want things done kind of in an early drive-through kind of a fashion, what you can do is you can catch up with Jason through the morning espresso that you can also catch here on the network. And you can lay everything out and get all your headlines there. Traditionally, Jason will give you the headlines in about 10 to 15 minutes. Then what we do is we'll give you headlines, and then we'll walk you through the morning. We'll get you ready for your day. And then at the same time, we'll do deep dives. And there's a deep dive that I wanted to get into this morning in hour number 2, having to do with AFCON. And it's from our friends at The Guardian, and it's just something that I think we should file away as just info to know. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Man, somebody turned the heat on here in the house. Hang on just a second. I got to take this off. I don't know. All right. I'm going to extend opening kickoff for a second. I have a question for all of you. This morning, when it was in the 20s and, you're running faucets and things like that. Who is in charge of the heat at your house? Who's in charge of the heat at the house? That's what I want to know. So, yeah, too many layers, Abby. It turned out that way. I mean, and this is why I'm asking this question, because, I've got the heat on here in the office, and it just got to a point to where we're literally, 13 minutes into the show, and it's entirely too hot in the office, where it's supposedly 28 outside. Who's in charge of the heat in your particular abodes? Those of you that are more than one person under one roof. Because traditionally for me, because of, voice maintenance and things like that, I've got to have the electric blanket on, and it's at 6. So the electric blanket's on, and I got the wrap around the throat just to make sure that there's no big temperature changes involved with voice and things like that. So traditionally the heat, doesn't really affect me, but I turned it on here in the office this morning, and it's like heat upon heat. And I don't know. It's like, do I turn the heat in the office off? I might have to as we go later in the day, but I just want to know who's in charge of the heat in your house, for those of you that are more than one person in your house. And for your perspective, is it too hot? Are you wandering around in shorts in 28-degree weather outside? Just asking. Because apparently something strange this morning. It's like here in Office HD, where it's 28 degrees outside, and apparently double heat is going on here in the house. Yes, and I had to take my sweatshirt off, which I did not anticipate having to do. So who's in charge of the heat in your house? What temperature are you at? How much fighting do you do? And where do things stand? So there you go. Okay. So I had to, so literally, as you saw, those of you who are watching on video, I had to take my sweatshirt off. I've never done that before. I've literally never done that. So that's where things stand. Don't do it. So, that's where we are. Okay. That was open. That was extended opening kickoff. But no, today is catching up on MLS news, catching up on everything overseas, and a deep dive later on when it comes to stuff going on in AFCON that I think you should just know about in general. It'll be today's deep dive. And so that'll get us through. And then, of course, also anticipating 10 o'clock, something having to do with a tour of Japan and the Far East for Atlanta United. Maybe. Daisen Maeda, Reo Hatate, Furuhashi-san. We'll see. So there we go. All right. So there we go. All right. So we'll keep an eye on things starting around 9:55, and we'll see what's going on. And then if it is, in fact, a Celtic player, then Jarrett's going to have to come in here and explain it for all of us. All right. So morning, everybody. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Unc. Morning, Tom. That is also part of the news that we have. Traditionally, I know we bring in Keeler here to talk about USL Championship. Nick was a free agent. Nick Firmino is now a part of Lexington SC. And that announcement came out yesterday as well, as Lexington SC is going from USL League One to play in USL Championship. Nick Firmino is one of the new players as a part of that roster. Nick was a free agent. So Nick has moved to Lex SC, and you wish nothing but the best for a guy like Nick. So we'll see how we'll see what Sofiane Jafal also got picked up yesterday by Lex SC from San Antonio. So we'll see how Lexington is piecing things together in their first season in USL Championship. I know that a lot of folks, when we get closer to the season, obviously we'll talk to Keeler, but I know a lot of folks are looking at any team that comes up in class and promotes themselves. You're thinking it's going to be a long year. So we'll see what happens with Lex SC. But Nicholas Firmino is now a part of the attack in Lex SC, and you just hope that he gets the opportunity to shine there at Lex and figure out what they want to do with Nick, what they're looking for him positionally, and we'll see what the layout is. So, Ricky, don't remember a transfer this notable being this quiet from initial rumor to transfer. But once again, Ricky, remember, Atlanta United doesn't deal in the public sphere. This is something traditional involving Atlanta United. They don't let us know, and we don't have any kind of advanced knowledge. Full disclosure, we don't have any kind of advanced knowledge of anything going on. I mean, as much as I'd love it for Javier Perez or Garth or Chris Henderson or Ronnie Dyla to text me and go, yo, fam, we got this going on. That doesn't happen. So traditionally, Atlanta is one of the more tighter-lipped and composed clubs when it comes to negotiating in the public sphere. They don't negotiate in the public sphere. We find out through things that happen at like 9:05 where you have a social media team dealing in anime. But no, this is about par for the course involving Atlanta United. So, oh, by the way, hey, 9:05, which means signing around 10. But yeah, this is the first of anything. But we'll find out if it is in fact Furuhashi-san, Reo Hatate, or Daisen Maeda. That's the early intel. That's the early thinking out loud. So we'll see what happens. So Ricky's like, if it's not Kyogo, we must be starting a J-League club. Yeah. Unc woke up early for some DP news. Dang it. Pars is thinking Kyogo. Tom is thinking Kyogo. Will is thinking Kyogo. Morning, friend. Yes, and so Abby doing the public service. There's your feed for Atlanta United, by the way. Set your notifications so when something happens, you guys can yell at me and go, dude, it happened. So there you go. Keep an eye on that. Yes, morning, Abby. Might be ordering a Japanese flag. Absolutely true. Morning, Alex. Morning, Ricky. Ricky's looking for Fabrizio Romano or Tom Bogert. Check with the BBC guys. I mean, they're usually the ones that are, they're usually the ones that are on top of things. So, we will see what the British punditry is all about. And that's the other thing you could do. You could sit there and go, how about you set a notification involving Kyogo or Celtic? You do something like that. If you set a Celtic FC notification or Celtic Atlanta United, something like that, that might be the way to do it. Morning, Tom. Tom, credit to Pooley and Milan, by the way, thought Inter had it in the bag, but as they say, 2-0, worst lead in football and hockey. Yeah, you end up losing 3-2. Yikes. Absolutely true. So Abby says she is in charge of the heat in her place. Ricky, just got 2 Google Nest thermostats. Google Nest thermostats? Next time I see you, you're going to have to explain that to me. What in the blue hell is a Google Nest thermostat? Because that's the first I've heard of any of that. Ricky's like, go through your energy company to buy them. You'll get a discount. Okay. Abby also has dampers that controls airflow, keeps it on her side of the upstairs in the summer. It's wide open, close it down to 25% in the winter. Tom says, we're just hoping our HVAC from 1981 here in the condo makes it to the spring. Needs replacing, but it'll be cheaper then. Absolutely true. So Tom is asking, anybody have a rec for a good HVAC company? We have Premier. We use Premier, and we don't have any problems with them because they come in and they monitor your they monitor all of your feeds and your ducts and all this kind of stuff. So Premier HVAC is who we use here at Office HD. So we'll keep an eye on that. Abby hates it warm. Get the chill out and then keep it lower. Set it at 64 at night and 68 during the day. Will says it's a joint effort. Heat is almost never on, and you sleep with the windows open in the winter. Wow. That's brave. That is brave, sir. Zero fighting, too. Alex says no one but me touches the thermostat. Set 75 in the summer, 66 in the winter. That's it. No touching. Now, Alex also says that there's no emotional temperature adjustments. Will says the fireplace is on. Use blankets if you're cold. Ciao. Morning, Kefsey. So right now, Abby's like, okay, so we lose the Brazil flag. And Ricky, just meaning the ether regarding transfers, either from the Celtic side or Japan or whoever else. It has been. Yeah, absolutely it has. Yeah. And Will under Darren, the rumors were all over the place. Ricky's like, Gigi was a loud transfer. Elmada was a loud transfer. And Abby says, Ricky posting at everyone in the Discord's best for her. So let's see. It looked like we scheduled a friendly with Dallas on your birthday. Yeah, that is also out there. And I don't know the location yet. But from what I understand, Dallas FCD is on the board for the preseason as well. Morning, Harry. So Harry, by the way, got the news from the owners of the Spurs that they are going to spend 7 figures to the left of the decimal place in capital improvements for Toyota Stadium for San Antonio FC. So that came out yesterday as well in USL Championship. KFC is happy for Tammy Abraham re-enter Milan. Yes, Will, blankets. Absolutely true. Ricky Ricardo for the PSA. Atlanta United is not on Blue Sky, but Sandy McAfee is. And I am too. I think it's OSG Nelson at Blue Sky or osgnelson.bluesky.blah, blah, blah. You know, the 38 character ID plate that they give you on Blue Sky. So, yeah, OSG Nelson on Blue Sky. That's me. Unk. Been covered in ice for a little over a week. Heat's always on. Wood stove at night. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Ricky, just so happy about it. Need to make sure everyone saw. So Blue Sky. Like I said, I think I'm OSG Nelson .B Sky app or whatever. So that's me on Blue Sky. So I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Threads. I'm still on the 280 character app. Obviously, Facebook, even though I really don't check Facebook a whole lot. The boss is the one that does Facebook more than anybody. So, obviously, social media being what social media is. So we'll see what's going on. Jarrett is having conversations. Toyota Field is San Antonio. Thank you. So Toyota Field, San Antonio. Toyota Stadium is FCD, yes, where they had the 1AA championship game last night. Great game between Montana State and North Dakota State. Now, Threads is a spinoff of one of the other social medias. So it's another one. So I'm on Threads. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on the 280 character app. I'm basically on all of them, but I don't necessarily monitor all of them. I know they exist. So we'll see. Kyogo played Wednesday against Rangers. Might have been squad rotation. So Jarrett's a very, very busy man when it comes to looking at what's going on with Celtic. Threads came from Insta. Thank you, Will. OG is like the older I get, the less I tolerate the cold. Borderline hibernate in the winter. Threads is Insta's version of Twitter. Thank you, Ricky. So that's I'm on all of them. It's like you try to sit there and go, ooh, and shiny object and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Okay. All right. So mentioning Brandon Vasquez yesterday. Brandon Vasquez officially official. And so Brandon Vasquez is officially official. And that was $10 million. Now, there's a lot of stuff that went on early. Where, and this is our PSA for this kind of stuff, where folks were sitting there and assuming, never assume because you make an ass out of you and me. Folks were assuming that Monterrey was just basically trying to set money on fire and just blow up the contract. They were that disappointed in Brandon Vasquez that they're just going to blow up the contract, set $7 million on fire, and Brandon Vasquez can go on his merry way. That was not the case. DP 4-year deal through the end of 28 with an option for 29. Once again, after making second in the Western Conference in 22, failed to make the playoffs the last two seasons. And remember Rodolfo Borrell when he became the sporting director. He brought in Nico Estevez after Estevez had been let go by FCD. So it is now Brandon Vasquez. He's going to be the point of the spear. He's going to be your focus of your offense. And so best 11 pick with Cincinnati in 22. Sold him for a $7.5 million transfer fee. Didn't have a steady job. Couldn't hang on to it. And so Austin paid a reported $10 million to acquire him from Rayados. But remember, for everybody that's sitting there going, "Oh my God, what are they? Austin spending all this money?" It looks like that Driussi might be heading to South America, and I think it's River Plate, if memory serves. And that price tag is in the neighborhood of 9. So if Driussi goes with Vasquez coming in, then it's basically a wash financially. So Austin isn't spending, money and just diving, you're creating a deep, cavernous financial hole for themselves. It's just talk right now involving Driussi and River, but the money would be about the same. So then if Driussi goes, then that money is about even. It's like $1 million more to have brought Vasquez in than to let Driussi go. But then they would chase after a third DP. So that's what you're staring at with Austin right now. So with Austin FC, looking at the roster, estimated $10 million transfer fee. So the roster for Austin, Osman Bukhari, remember, he was signed as a designated player on a transfer. $7.5 million was, I believe, the cost to bring Bukhari in. So your DPs right now, Bukhari, Driussi, Brandon Vasquez. That's what you're staring at. Zanko Manic is your U22 for 25. But right now, Bukhari, Dessler, and like I said, this is right now. This is how Austin looks right now. Bukhari, Dessler, Driussi is the DP. John Gallagher, Brendan Hines-Ike, Kolmanich, Jader Obrian, Diego Rubio, Stuver and Net, Svatok, Vaisanen, 3 supplementals, Micah Burton, Jimmy Farcarlin, and Damian Loss. Biro, Cascante, Stephen Cleveland, your backup keeper. Fodry, Daniel Pereira, Ilie, once again, Vasquez, and Owen Wolf. So that's what you're staring at right now with Austin. Your DPs currently, Driussi, Vasquez, Bukhari. But Driussi is being courted by South America. Then you in turn would flip that and you end up chasing after another DP. So that's what you're looking at right now in Austin. So that's kind of what you're staring at. Well, and Will is like, he's surprised that Vasquez was only in Mexico for a season. If if you drop $7.5 million, if you're Monterrey, you drop 7.5. Then, if you're not getting the output that you're looking for, and Brandon Vasquez had problems cracking the starting lineup, then it's basically for Monterrey an issue get off the pot moment. It's like, okay, are we going to sit on this? Or are we going to try to sit there and see if Vasquez can crack the starting lineup? Or are we going to try and make a move and see if someone's interested? And I mean, think about it. This is a very, very good piece of business for Monterrey. Monterrey, for 1 year's worth of investment in Brandon Vasquez, turned at least a $2.5 million profit, if not 3. 7.5, 7.5, and it looks like it's 10. So you tip your hat to Monterrey for finding a suitor where you actually make money on the deal. All of this thought and all of this hope that Brandon Vasquez was going to be there to help you out. And he did initially, but he had problems cracking the starting lineup consistently. So Monterrey is like, yo, fam, any takers? And as it turns out, Austin knocks on the door, and Rodolfo Borrell is like, hello. So you end up with Rodolfo Borrell and Austin FC sitting there going, yeah, we're interested. Monterrey's like, what's it worth to you? 10? Well, I'm sure that the number was a little higher than 10. I'm sure that Monterrey probably was shooting for the stars. They're like, hey, 12, 13, how about something like that? Borrell was like, well, how about 10? And Monterrey's like, okay, cool. By the time the negotiation was finished. So you end up turning a tidy profit for having a player for a year. Not even a year. Well, yeah, a year. So you have him for a year, and you turn a $3 million profit. So no, this was not going to be a situation where we're mad that Brandon Vasquez isn't doing anything for us. We're going to set the contract on fire, and we're just going to let him go. Our $7 million investment. No, that's not how this worked. You're not setting money on fire if you're Monterrey. Austin was a suitor. They came in. They're like, yeah, we'll take him off your hands. But no, it's at the end of the day, Will, it is a good piece of business by Monterrey. At the end of the day, it's a good piece of business by them. I mean, they're sitting there and they're looking at their bank account and they're going, we turned a $3 million profit on somebody we had a year. That's a good piece of business. Good piece of business. So Monterrey did good work. They did not set the contract on fire and just let Brandon Vasquez go. So any thought of setting a contract on fire just to get rid of Brandon Vasquez, that was not the case. Four-Card got out of his meeting. I guess once he saw the anime, he's like, "Oh, what are we doing?" So we'll figure it out. Quick turnaround for Vasquez. Cincy, Rayados, Austin, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. But once again, you're dealing with assets. Cincy was like, "Ooh, Rayados is interested." And that's just how the business world works sometimes. I know that it may not necessarily look good on your LinkedIn or on your resume. Mr. Vasquez, sir, why did you only spend a year in Liga MX? Now I could just see, Brandon Vasquez sitting down at a table, dude in a suit on the other end of the table looking at his resume. Mr. Vasquez, why is it that you only spent a year in Liga MX? Well, and then Brandon says what he says. So you end up with that. But no, it's look, it is about controlling assets. It is about doing well financially. At the time, Cincinnati did really well in their sale of Vasquez for 7 to 7.5. And Rayados did equally well in getting 10 in return. So it is a quick turnaround, but I think what Rayados did is they did Vasquez a solid, and they also looked at their books and they're like, you know what, this was a great idea at the time, but we got a logjam here, so we'll see what happens. We got a logjam, and Vasquez isn't getting playing time, so let's see if we can do him a solid and see if we can find him another location. So I think that's what legitimately happened here. Monterrey was like, this really isn't working. And so Brandon's representation is probably sitting there trying to kick some tires and wave their hands in the air like they do care. Hey, is there anybody interested in Brandon? You point. I got a Brandon Vasquez here, low mileage, decent tread on the tires. Something like that. And then Austin's like, ooh. Austin's like, oh, okay. So let's investigate that. So the soccer playing version of Carvana for Brandon Vasquez. Let's see, Tom, in the anime cartoon, what would the New York part of the cartoon mean? Well, Ronnie Dyla was at NYC. So he came from Celtic to maybe they're working backward geographically. I don't know. I mean, the fact that Dyla was at NYC coming from Celtic or, something like that. So players in Japan that were with Dyla before he went to NYC. So something of that vein. That's my guess. Yes, Kefsey, Atlanta United legend John Gallagher. Four-Card. Well, yeah, Four-Card, we're waiting. We are in a holding pattern. Yes. So Four-Card left his meeting and he's trying to learn about Japan. So what we are thinking is in about 10 minutes or 11 minutes or 15, somewhere in there, starting with your notifications, set your notifications for Atlanta United. So something like that. Keep an eye out for notifications. Is it Hatate? Is it Furuhashi-san? Is it Daisen Maeda? Is it somebody else entirely? So we are thinking that there is a tie from Ronnie Dyla from his time at Celtic to Mount Fuji and a starburst. So like I said, we're all waiting for, say, 9:55 to 10 o'clock because traditionally that's when stuff like this happens, Four-Card. So we got about another 10 minutes to sit there before Jarrett. The scream that you hear, not on the air, ends up being Jarrett for some description. And like I said, this is where we lean on Jarrett, perhaps, possibly, probably, maybe, to gain intel on the individual or individuals. I don't know. Let's just say individual that could be referred to with the soccer starburst created over Mount Fuji at 9 o'clock this morning by the social media team of Atlanta United. So we'll see. The ether is Kyogo-centric. Yes. Yeah, and David, you're correct. I did leave Open Cup hero Brandon Vasquez out of the bio. I did. That is absolutely true. Let's see. So Four-Card's got another meeting at 10. Four-Card is demanding that this happen before 10 o'clock. Get on it, Atlanta United. Get on it. Four-Card is demanding this happen before his 10 o'clock meeting. So can we get the spellings? Well, let's see. So Kyogo Furuhashi. So I go Furuhashi-san. Okay. So Daisen Maeda. All right. So that's Daisen Maeda. Reo Hatate. And I've got to spell it right. So it has to be the so there you go. Those are the three. Furuhashi-san, Daisen Maeda, Reo Hatate. And maybe Ida. So who knows? But like I said, those are the three contenders. So those are your three contenders that we are looking at for card. So like I said, we are waiting. Yes. Damned autocorrect. Absolutely true. So those are the three that we are leaning into. Like I said, we have no intel preferencing one to the other two. We have no intel one way or the other. So that's what we're waiting for. And so there are alternate theories out here. So we'll see what the we'll see what the notion is. Like I said, we will see what's going on come 10 o'clock. By the way, Bournemouth has announced the arrival of Julio Soler. Bought his pass from Lanús for $8 million plus $3 million in bonuses. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. So, all right. So that's where we are. Waiting for another 7 minutes as well. Tom's got a weekly Zoom staff meeting at 10. Pars has a meeting at 10. So you guys just need to go to Atlanta United on their social media and sit there and go, bruh, can you speed this up a little bit? Can you make it before 10 o'clock? Can you do that? Can you do that? Just saying. Just light a fire under him, Can you do this before 10? Because I got meetings. I got real world stuff to deal with here. Villa just dropped their 150th anniversary kit. Okay, so that's probably worth something. But yes, Open Cup hero Brandon Vasquez. Back to Major League Soccer in Austin. So, yeah, and yes, KFC, assuming striker based on roster, if it's not, more moves are happening. So, like I said, so Will is in the cubicle at 10 listening. See, this is the anticipation of all of this stuff over the next 10 minutes. And then we're all checking emails, we're all checking things, and it's like, okay, what's going down? So we'll find out. Okay. Hang on just a second. Sorry, like I said, I'm visiting the ENT today. And I apologize for coughing in your ears over the last little bit. So trying to get to the bottom of it once again. It's the yearly thing that happens. It started 8 years ago. I don't know how far back a lot of you go, but Jason and I called the Carolina Challenge Cup for ESPN Coastal involving Atlanta United, Seattle, Charleston, and what was going on there. And so you might remember MUSC Health Stadium was in the marsh for the Charleston Battery. And so calling games in the marsh at night got to me. And so ever since then, after I had my first cold of the year, I have this residual nonsense. Hang on. So, as a result, after my first cold of the year, I have crap and I have a cough that has no bearing on anything. And so it just, and like I said, I apologize ahead of time. It's that time of year where I had my first cold and I'm going to the ENT today and they can sit there and go, well, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'll go, well, I'm aware of this, at least mentally anyway, physically. And so then they'll come up with something and we'll figure it out. But anyway, so like I said, I apologize for coughing in your ear the last couple of days. Okay, so while we wait on Atlanta United, there were the other transactions that happened. Jalen Neal goes from LAG to Montreal. So CF Montreal have acquired Jalen Neal from LAG in exchange for the U.S. International. And that's the other thing we got to talk about is the January camp. We haven't got that roster, but keep an ear out also for the SoccerForUSPod, where they'll discuss this in more depth. In exchange for Jalen Neal, LAG gets $650,000 in general allocation money over the next 2 years, $450,000 in 25, 226, and a 2025 international roster spot. They also get a sell-on percentage if Jalen Neal gets transferred to another club. Smart piece of business by LAG. Neal has signed a U22 contract extension with Montreal through 27 with an option for 28. Signed as a homegrown back in 21. One of the league's top defenders, 1 goal, 46 in all 46 comps, 9th in the annual 22 under 22 rankings in 2024, 6 USMNT caps. And so now you have Waterman, Neal, George Campbell, and Fernando Alvarez. And so you had, it was crowded for Neal at center back for LAG because you had Yoshida and Garces, and Matthias Jorgensen is being stared at to be signed by LAG. So Jalen Neal was somewhat in a bit of a numbers game. And so it was like, okay, what do we do? Do we get something for a young talent? And that's what LAG did. They flipped him to Montreal. We mentioned Fabian Herbers yesterday going to Montreal from Chicago. Under contract through 26. Remember, he was with Chicago Fire the last 5 years. Before that, he was with Philly. So 19 and 24 and 205 regular season appearances. We also mentioned Matias Kokoro on loan to Atlas through the end of 25 with a purchase option. Joined last winter from Huracan. Only played 22 matches because he had injuries last year, and he was 4+1 in the stat sheet. They also signed Michael Adedikan through 25 options for 26, 27, and 28. We're going to sign you for 1 year, but then we're going to have options for 3 others, years at a time. Last month, he was signed 13th. He was selected 13th overall in the Super Draft. Won the Mac Hermann Trophy, and the Mac Hermann Trophy is the Heisman for men's and women's soccer. And so he won the Mac Hermann Player of the Year for NCAA Division I. He was at Ohio State 11-11, winning the Big Ten tournament. One of the big names, and yeah, KFC, we'll get into that. And so we got stuff to get into here. So Fire have acquired one of the best names in all of sport. Philip Zinkernagel. Sounds like something that you'd pick up at a deli. You'd like a loaf of Zinkernagel, please? Maybe with some breakfast rolls. Maybe get some croissants, some breakfast rolls, and side and a couple of loaves of Zinkernagel. I've heard Zinkernagel works well with the occasional deli meat, but you got to use the spicy mustard if you're going to use Zinkernagel to go with it. Zinkernagel comes from Club Bruges. 4-year deal at the age of 30. 83 and 80 in 403 appearances since debuting 12 years ago in the Danish league. He's won two titles with Bodo Glimt, 2020 Player of the Year in Norway. He's played for Watford and Nottingham Forest, although I don't remember him at either, as well as Standard Liège and Olympiacos. 30 matches in Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. LAFC, we talked about Omar Campos, transferring him to Cruz Azul, 1 year. Santos Laguna on a U22. 1 goal, 3 assists in 38 matches in all comps. San Diego traded for Emma Boateng from the Revs. 30-year-old Ghanaian native, $200,000 in 2025 general allocation money goes to New England. Boateng is a Right to Dream Academy grad, playing in the Ghanaian-based academy program before coming to the U.S. for college. Right to Dream is central to San Diego's identity and club philosophy, so it made sense that they would chase after someone with Boateng's history. 17 and 26 for Boateng in 210 regular season matches since coming into the league in 2016 in LAG, DC, Crew, and Revs. Last season, 2-2 in 23 matches for the Revs. Noel Buck is back from Southampton, by the way, and it probably saves him mentally. Of course, if you were in Southampton and you'd only won once in your first 20 matches, I think that any kind of an out, you'd love for it to happen. So the Revs recalled Noel Buck from his loan at Southampton. And I bet you Noel Buck is like, thank the baby Jesus. 19-year-old England Youth International joined on loan last August, played 6 matches for their U21s. 5+3 in 45 regular season matches for the Revs, signed a homegrown deal before the 22 campaign. Joins Polster, Al-Hassan Yusuf, and Jackson Ewell in the central midfield. Mark Anthony Kay and Ian Harkes, remember, were part of the 4 players that were moved from the Revs to San Jose to go hang out with Bruce Arena. And remember, we talked about James and Rayo Vallecano sitting there saying, peace out, Boy Scout. Thanks for dropping by. Start your rumor machine involving James and Messi and friends, because that's coming down the pike. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. As I sit here and I'm seriously looking back and forth. I'm hitting recycle on my emails. I'm trying to see if I'm going to get an official email about any of this stuff. So start the rumor machine involving Messi and friends after they picked up Tadeo Allende from Celta de Vigo. And young talent coming in this season. Do you add James as a part of it? Marcia saying that Rayo and Rodriguez agreed to terminate the deal, with the Colombia star giving up the, quote, promotional part of his contract, which was 1.2 million euro. Status changed after an interview with Marcia when he called into question the level of his teammates and the judgment of his manager. I'm guessing that's not something that you do. So we'll see. So, yeah, James picked up on a free from Sao Paulo, and now he's out the door. It's like, Bruck, can you give up part of your deal? James is like, sure. And then James goes to Marcia and is like, he starts mouthing off, and Rayo's like, yeah, we're done. We're done here. So, so that didn't go well. So start your rumor machines involving James and what's going on with Messi and friends after they picked up Tadeo Allende from Celta de Vigo a couple days ago. Also, Yeon-min Son signed a contract extension. He's got another year in the deal. So anybody who thought that they might be able to pick up Yeon-min Son is now sadly mistaken. Spurs will continue to keep Yeon-min Son until 2026. PSG, remember Randall Colomowani? We talked about that yesterday. Not getting a whole lot of work at PSG. United, Spurs, and Juve all want him on loan. NYCFC, by the way, they've got a new head coach. I would sound trumpets if I could find them, because I'm still in the process of taking like all of our audio drops and moving them over into this new software. So I've got a list. Where's my list of Not there. Not there. Yeah. So here is my list of all the stuff that I've got to transfer over from the old setup into the new setup. All of those audio drops that we're used to using, I got to transfer all of them over. But right now, trumpet sounding for NYCFC because they've got a new head coach. Pascal Janssen is now in, and that was announced yesterday. Remember, Nick Cushing left in late November. CFG, they look to get Janssen into the organization for any one of their franchises, and they finally now have him in there at NYCFC. So PSV, AZ Alkmaar, confirmed it with his work at AZ Alkmaar, where he replaced Arne Slot after he left Feyenoord Rotterdam for Feyenoord Rotterdam in 2020. So you have like here to here to here to here to here. Janssen follows Slot, goes from A to B to A to B. And so now NYCFC has picked up Pascal Janssen, and he is now going to be their head coach. Successor at AZ Alkmaar, open way to a 4-year deal with NYC. Robbie Keane apparently is being tied to Ferencváros. That popped up yesterday as well. And so the Ferencváros, who've been paired with Shamrock Rovers, they're going to play AZ Alkmaar in the Europa. So now, without a manager, after Janssen joins NYC, right now they're second in the domestic league. So that happened yesterday. So there is a photo, by the way, of Pascal Janssen standing in front of rapidly moving cabs. I imagine that this is in New York City, the promo photo. So signed through 28. He's going to join the club pending approval of a U.S. work permit. Managed 192 matches across Hungary and the Netherlands. Janssen most recently joins NYC from Ferencváros of the Hungarian top flight, managing since June of 24. Second place in 16 matches thus far, featured in Europa League across 6 matches. David Lee, the sporting director for NYC, has a couple of sentences in the press release. AZ Alkmaar, 58 win percentage, 94 matches, semifinals of the UEFA Conference League in 2023. Youth ranks 15 to 17 in the Dutch second division, finishing 4th. Pascal Janssen had a couple of sentences in his quotes. Thrilled to be joining, special club, exciting future, and I'm just looking at the highlights. This is not his full quote. Can't wait for the preseason to begin so I can meet the staff and players and get the season underway. I believe in a holistic approach where we want to make sure the players in our environment live up to their full potential and become the best version of themselves. I have a passion for developing players and helping them become better people and better athletes. Janssen continues, quote, it's about mutual respect. Representing one of the top teams in the league is a huge responsibility. The values I stand for as a coach are in line with the club's values. I bring an aggressive style of play, comma, which will work well in the fighter jets and a washer dryer approach that you have in the Bronx. Bring an aggressive style of play that likes to pressure opponents in and out of possession. Hope to make all of our fans as happy as possible. We want to continue to grow and develop, but also want to entertain the fans that come out to our games by playing an exciting style of football. Honored to be a part of the NYC family. Look forward to the success we can all achieve together, end quote. So that was Pascal Janssen yesterday when he was officially announced. So that's what you're staring at. And yes, this also was announced. Just came across 4 minutes ago. Red Bulls have added Polish striker Victor Bogac from Lejnica. God bless you. 4-year contract, undisclosed transfer fee through 2028. And so, of course, I have to slide the release over to get the rest of it. Okay, so Mij Lejnica for an undisclosed fee, 4-year contract through 28, option for 29. And once again, it's pending the P1 visa and the ITC. Mij Lejnica, which plays in the BetClick 1 Liga, the second division. So a second Polish division striker. BetClick 1 Liga, 27 career appearances for Mij Lejnica, 8 goals, 2 assists. Scored his first career goal on April 24th against Wisła Plock. Victor possesses great qualities that we look for in our strikers, according to Sandro Schwartz. Before signing with the team, played for Mij Lejnica 2. Won the Polish Cup with them in 23. So they've added a Polish striker from the second division in Poland for an undisclosed fee, 4-year contract option for 29, U22 initiative, pending P1 visa and ITC on January 7th. So Victor Bogash, 8 goals, 2 assists. Ah, boy. So there you go. Mij Lejnica. I never thought that I would be learning so much about geography in dealing with all of this stuff. So we'll see. Still waiting for and I'm sorry, once again, since we are after, did you see a rumor where we were playing Dallas in the preseason, meeting Atlanta United? Yes, I did see that rumor. So keep an eye on that as well. But now that we are after 10 o'clock, what do you want to bet? What do you want to bet with all of the hype and things that we piece together that they're going to do it when the show's over? I'm just saying. I'm sitting here and I'm anticipating some kind of movement. I'm anticipating it. I was thinking it was going to happen. But there's nothing on the front page yet. Nothing on the front page of the of Atlanta United's website. Nothing there. Nothing in the inbox. So I apologize on behalf of my anticipation for when things get rolled around. So, so we'll wait and see. Unk says he's hearing it's not going to be who we think. So is it going to be somebody else? Is it not going to be Furuhashi-san, Hatate, or Daisen Maeda? It's going to be somebody else entirely? Is it? So we'll see what's going on. So we'll see. We will see what's up. More news out of Lexington, by the way. Edric Caceres is joining the championship club in 2024. All right. So let's see. Montiel says it's negotiating with River Plate. All right. So we'll see. All right. All right. The rest of the other news. I'm just going to keep going with news because, like I said, I was trying to filibuster. And sit there and go, well, maybe they'd have something by 10 o'clock. But no, we got Victor Bogash from Mij Lejnica for Red Bulls. We got that instead. NWSL has set their framework for the 2024 season. All right, so let's get into the other. Let's get into the other stuff that we might have missed out on yesterday. And no, God bless America. It's like you hit a button on Spot Track and you're like, no, I want you to do this. And it sends you to the NBA page, which is not what we were doing. And we talked about Donovan Parisian with Revs yesterday. Okay. All right. So the deep dive that I wanted to get into has to do with stuff going on in AFCON. And this is it's gonna take a minute, but I think it's worth your time. And before I get into that, what is this? Okay. All right. I'll go here first. I'm sitting here and I'm clicking articles and it's all right. 2 men were arrested for tragedy chanting at Anfield following Manchester United's trip to Liverpool in the weekend. Another 6 were detained and asked to attend interviews, including a man from Tennessee. This is not the deep dive. This is something that I just literally just buzzed past my vision, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to stop here. Including a man from Tennessee. Police arrested 2 men, including one from Tennessee, and detained 8 people in total following reports of tragedy chanting at Sunday's match with Liverpool and Manchester United. A 28-year-old man from Hendersonville, Tennessee, and a 46-year-old man from Church Warsop in Nottinghamshire were arrested by Merseyside police under Section 5 of the Public Order Act, which is tragedy chanting. Another 6 were detained and have been asked to voluntarily attend interviews on suspicion of the same offense. Chief Inspector Lisa Letter, quote, "Football fans who chant about tragedies cause huge distress to those families and people directly affected." She continued, "I hope the arrest of these individuals sends a clear message and acts as a deterrent to others that you risk getting a criminal record and ending up in custody if you choose to engage in this despicable behavior." I did not have Hendersonville, Tennessee, and tragedy chanting on my bingo card this morning. I did not. Yeah, well, basically, tragedy chanting, it's like, hang on just a second. It's like if you are a Manchester United fan and you're chanting something about Hillsborough, say, and you're poking fun at the loss of life at Hillsborough as a Manchester United fan. Yeah, it's like talking about Hillsborough. Like literally, that would be the best example I could give. If you're a Manchester United fan and you're chanting about Hillsborough, saying something incredibly stupid about Hillsborough, yeah. So Alex is like, imagine going to an NYCFC match and singing about 9/11. Will's a Liverpool fan. He'd never chant about the Munich air disaster and do so in glee. That's tragedy chanting. So that is an actual crime in England. But yeah, so you end up with tragedy chanting is a crime. And apparently Hendersonville, Tennessee, Nashville suburb, has now been linked to tragedy chanting involving Manchester United and Liverpool. Did not have that on the bingo card. Okay. Anyway, back to the deep dive for a minute. Like I said, we're all kind of waiting to figure out what the news from Atlanta United is. So in AFCON, this is from Ed Aarons at The Guardian. Headline: Zambia women's coach accused of sexual misconduct is moved aside. That's the headline. So here's the story. The Zambia coach accused of sexual misconduct at the 2023 Women's World Cup has been replaced, but will remain part of the national team setup, quote, in an advisory role, closed quote, period. Bruce Mwape remains under investigation by FIFA after allegations he intentionally touched on a front female body part on one of its contractors working closely with the Zambia team during the tournament in New Zealand, and that he rubbed his hands over the chest of a player after a training session. Mwape has denied the accusations and was allowed to continue in his post by the Football Association of Zambia. Took charge of Zambia's debut at the Olympics last year, but was banned from private contact with his players after he was initially denied a visa by French authorities. But with elections looming at the Football Association, it is understood that external political pressure has been growing on its president, Andrew Kamanga, to remove Mwape. Nora Hopp, a former Switzerland midfielder who has previously been in charge of Ghana's women's team, has replaced Mwape. Quote, "We have every reason to believe that she has the pedigree and profile that will take us to the next level," end quote, Kamanga said. He also paid tribute to Mwape for leading Zambia to a first-ever Women's World Cup and said the 65-year-old, quote, remains a core member of our wider technical development program and will attend a Confederation of African Football Pro license course in Morocco. Now, here's the I'm going to just read the rest of the piece and circle back to the key part here. Kamanga, quote, Mwape will be reassigned to our junior teams where his expertise will be utilized in an advisory role. Zambia are among the favorites for the Women's African Cup of Nations in July, despite 3 defeats in the group stages at the Olympics when the FAZ was threatened with suspension by FIFA after accusations of money laundering offenses against Kamanga and, quote, undue influence by third parties, end quote, period. They were allowed to participate after he was cleared, and Kamanga will attempt to secure a new term as president in March's election. So, circling back. So, Mwape will be reassigned to our junior teams where his expertise will be utilized in an advisory role. So you have a senior coach who is accused of what he is accused of, intentionally touching female body parts. And you reassign him from the senior squad to the junior teams. Just saying. So you don't want him in charge of your senior squad because of all of the allegations that have been named in this Ed Aarons piece in The Guardian. But you're going to reassign him to your junior squads. I'm just saying. Food for thought. Okay. So like I said, I wanted to put that out here just as something in stories of the day where we think that we're making a lot of inroads when it turns out there's a lot of work to do. Just saying. So there you go. Okay. All right. So the USMNT roster came out for January, and there's some interesting names in it. We'll get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, obviously, and what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all those kinds of things. There's plenty of transfer stuff that's out there, too, considering that the window is now open. But USMNT roster for January. Drake Callender, Matt Freese, Patrick Schulte, Zach Steffen. This is for the January camp. Defenders. And there's some interesting names here. Max Arfston getting a call for Crew. George Campbell, well done. DeJuan Jones from Crew. Shaq Moore, Jalen Neal, who's listed CF Montreal. Nicely done. Tim Ream, Miles Robinson, John Tolkien, Walker Zimmerman. Only 4 midfielders, which I find interesting, but once again, it's just a camp. Benja Kremoski, if I could say it 10 times fast. Emeka Anelli from RSL, Diego Luna from RSL, Jack McGlynn from Union. 7 forwards, by the way. Patrick Ajiman from Charlotte, Caden Clark, Jesus Ferreira, Brian Gutierrez, Matko Miljevic, Indiana Vasilev, and Brian White. Only 4 midfielders, which I find intriguing for a January camp. So, looking at the roster, if Patrick Schulte is going to be looked at, I mean, somebody's got to set themselves apart here. And like I said, also when it comes to the Soccer for USPod, keep an eye out for that coming out later this week. And they will analyze this in a far deeper form than we are here today. But reminder, once again, we'll go through the roster here and we'll just kind of give certain thoughts. Because we're kind of in a holding pattern. We're kind of in a holding pattern here, people. Waiting for Atlanta United. Drake Callender, Matt Freese, Patrick Schulte, Zach Steffen. We know what Zach Steffen brings to the table. If Patrick Schulte or Drake Callender wishes to be taken seriously longer term, then they've got to really step up in this camp. You look at the defenders, 9 defenders. Like I said, it's weird. 9 defenders and only 4 listed midfielders, 7 forwards. I'm happy that George Campbell is a part of this group. I want to see what George Campbell does when it comes to being in an Olympic, in a national team camp. I want to see what George Campbell can bring to the table. Obviously, you got the experienced guys that are there. Tim Ream, Miles Robinson, Walker Zimmerman. They've been through these battles before. They've been through these camps. They know what's going on. But I'm intrigued. Once again, you get a guy like Jalen Neal. We talked about Jalen Neal and his move from LAG to CF Montreal. We'll talk about MLS in Canada coming up in just a bit because of a conversation that I had yesterday I wanted to bring to the table. So, George Campbell, Max Arfston, looking forward to it. Jalen Neal, once again, younger talent, looking forward to it. But you have the obviously you have the experience that's brought to the table by Tim Ream, Miles Robinson, John Tolkien, Walker Zimmerman. So, so looking forward to seeing those 4. Obviously, Kromoski, you know what he brings to the table. Emeka Eneli getting some reps in a camp. I'm intrigued. Diego Luna, also intrigued. Jack McGlynn, once again. So 3 of the 4 midfielders, really looking forward to seeing what they can do in a camp. The 7 forwards, first off, Indiana Vassilev getting a call-up from all caps. I love that for him. We've been able to follow Indy in his time from Savannah through Tormenta and with all caps, and so now he gets this call-up for this camp. I'm looking forward to that. Then once again, Brian White, you know what Brian White brings to the table. Jesus Ferreira, you know what he brings to the table. Caden Clark, after he was traded away to Montreal, you got to see what he could do. And Patrick Adjumong, we've seen Patrick Adjumong since his time with Crown Legacy. Patrick Adjumong, to me, size-wise, reminds me a lot of like a Josie Altidore type. It's one of those power forwards, that you can post up and create matchup problems with. What can Patrick Adjumong do in a camp like this? Looking forward to seeing that. So there's some interesting there's some interesting dynamics at play here. So Brian White, you know what he can do. Indiana Vassilev, I'm looking forward to seeing how he responds to getting a call-up. Jesus Ferreira, you know what he can do. Caden Clark, you know what he can do, especially from the second half of the year. Adjumong is in my spot shadow. Patrick Adjumong, for me, is in my spot shadow in this camp. Patrick Schulte is in my spot shadow for when it comes to keepers. But you get a guy like George Campbell. That's a spot shadow. Schulte's a spot shadow. Adjumong, spot shadow. Midfielders, maybe Diego Luna's a spot shadow. So if you're looking at one individual in each of these position groups, Schulte, Campbell, Luna. Technically, I've got more than one up at the forward position, but Adjumong and then Vassilev. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking at in this camp. So that's your roster for January involving that group. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, once again, keep an eye on the camp and what happens in January. All right. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Transfers, Marcus Rashford, his name's being thrown about for pretty much anybody and everybody in twice on Tuesdays, which is where we are today. So Manchester City targeting Omar Marmoush. Signing him this month will be difficult because of the challenge that Eintracht Frankfurt is chasing after a Champions League spot. They're third right now. City like Marmoush, but are aware that Dino Topmüller does not want to lose his top scorer. Harry Kane is the only individual that has more goals in the Bundesliga than Marmoush right now. Marmoush is 13. Be about 50 million pounds. He can work as a 9 or a 10, 18 goals, all comps this season. And so Marmoush would be the substitute, if you want to call it that, the replacement for Julian Alvarez, which was not, that was not replaced when Alvarez was sold to Atleti. They didn't bring in a replacement. So Marmoush would be the second striker to go with Erling Haaland. So keep an eye on that. Other gossip, rumor, and innuendo once again across the board. And there's a decent amount. There always is, especially now that we turned January into like earlier January. So Jean Duran getting stared at by a couple of clubs. PSG are interested in signing Duran, believe that Villa could be tempted to sell him for about 60 million pounds. That's from TalkSport. Deco has already met with Duran's representatives for informal talks to let the Villa striker know he's on the radar of the Catalan club. How are you going to afford him? Every single time. I swear to God, every single time we have this discussion about, Barca's interested. How's Barca going to pay for him? If you can't register Dani Olmo, how are you going to pay for a guy like Jean Duran? How? This has got to be the wimpy approach. Gladly pay you Tuesday for a striker today. This has to be the way that they're doing this. How are you going to pull this off? Legitimately. If you can't pay your bills to begin with, how do you plan? How do you plan on making sure that you can sign somebody like Jean Duran? You can't pay your bills. So what do you want to do? Oh, I want to sign somebody else. So, literally, that's what you're doing. That is legitimately what you're doing. I think we want to sign somebody. Well, how are you going to do it? I don't know. What's your bank account say? Well, we're in the negative right now. So then how are you going to sign him? I don't know. But we want to sign him. You just wander over to a bank and go, hey, there's a dude that we want to sign. And that bank, that bank is going to sit there and go, well, yeah, sure, that sounds fantastic. What bank legitimately? If you or I had the financials of Barcelona, I swear to God, this is like a Dave Ramsey conversation. If literally, this is a Dr. Laura or a Dave Ramsey conversation. Well, how much debt? All right, so here we go. Let me get my. All right, so let me get the numbers. I want to get the numbers. Okay, so August, Sam Marston and Moises Llorens. And this was after the loss. Okay, so the signing players, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Most recent figures revealed that the Blaugrana's league-imposed annual spending cap for wages and the amortization, cost of a transfer divided by the length of the contract to apply a bookkeeping value to each signing of transfer fees, has been cut to 204 million euro. They are in excess of that amount by over 200 million euro, according to the league's calculations, and must work to get that figure down until they're able to operate freely again in the transfer market. So Barca's success, blah, blah, blah. Monstrous debt. Okay. Remember when Barca had to sell off half of their TV network studio thing? So, once again, this is back in August. Moving to the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic during the redevelopment of the Spotify Camp Nou naturally had an impact on ticketing and matchday revenue streams. Barca had a wage bill closer to €700 million, Madrid around $400 million pre-pandemic. Mark Syria, a financial advisor who plans to run for the Barca presidency in the next election, told ESPN. Multiply that over time, and then you see the difference between the two clubs. Jaime Roras, a Catalan businessman and former CEO of Spanish multimedia group MediaPro, has twice helped Joan Laporta with Barca's financial picture. First, by contributing to the bank guarantee needed for him to become president, and later buying 1/4 of Barca Studios as a part of those 2022 asset sales. The management at Barca has historically been very bad, Roras told the four-letter. When PSG signed Neymar for €222 million in 2017, Barca registered €32 million in profit. The debt was already monstrous then. In any company, if you receive €222 million, still the world record for a transfer fee, and have only €30 million in benefits, you get fired. Admittedly, managing a football club is not the same as any other business due to the pressure you're subjected to and the emotions you're handling. Madrid, though, between Florentino Perez and CEO Jose Angel Sanchez, have had a little more luck, and at the same time, they've been capable of building a good team. Bellingham and Mbappe have years ahead of them, not just players for a couple of seasons. Difficult to gauge the exact scale of the financial crisis Barca are in. Sirius says it's very serious because costs still outstrip revenue, while the club's debt is in the billions, including the financing for the redevelopment of Camp Nou. Syria estimates that the debt is close to €3 billion. Roras adds the biggest problem is the interest they have to pay on the loans and credit they've taken out. Per Barca's official accounts for the year ending June 30, 2023, they have liabilities totaling €2.7 billion, which includes short and long-term debt as well as the financing for the new stadium. Laporta, his first move was to take out a €600 million loan from Goldman Sachs to help spread out debt repayments. Next came the Palancas, which saw Barca sell the 25% stake in their La Liga TV rights and half of the Barca Studios in 22. A league source says per the club's accounting, the asset sales were worth €808 million in 22-23 and around €300 million the year before. That money was mainly used to increase the club's spending limit with the league, allowing them to re-sign Lewandowski and allowing them to sign Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Jules Koundé for €150 million. What is Barcelona's spending limit? Apparently not much. Last summer when they signed Gundogan, no money available to sign the defensive midfielder that Xavi demanded. Oriol Romeu having arrived as a stopgap for €3.5 million from Girona, a move the player himself helped fund. Barca's limit has been more up and down than a roller coaster. Dropped to a negative number during the pandemic, rose back up to around €600 million after asset sales, and has now been reduced again to just over €200 million. This is back in August of 24. Sources told ESPN Barca currently spending over double that cap, somewhere between €400 and €500 million. Therefore, they remain subject to significant financial scrutiny. Where Barca can make money: Champions League, $50 million in prize money. You exit Europe early, you're in trouble. You can go on tours and make money. Trying to sell more of their TV rights, apparently. They've sold 25% and they can sell 24% more, which could be worth around €600 million. Instead of making €1 billion over 30 years, you get that €600 million now, and the investor makes €1 billion. With the 25% sold, the club loses about €40 million a year. So if they sold 49% in total, it'd be €80 million in lost revenue each year. Another element is you could sell dudes. Barca's hoping to be listed on the NASDAQ as a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company. But sure. Barcelona wants to buy players. And yes, we are still in a holding pattern waiting for the Atlanta United news. So Barcelona, Deco wants to buy Jean Duran. With what money? Literally, this is almost like Enron. Is Barca too big to fail? I think they are. Someone's going to continue to sit there and see the investment for what it is and see what it can be and go, yeah. Oh, man. But sure. We want to spend $60 million and drop that on Jean Duran. Bayern Munich want to hijack Victor Gyökeres from Sporting. That's according to the Star, the other four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Real Madrid have rejected the chance to sign Virgil van Dijk, who'll be a free agent when his Liverpool contract expires in the summer after being approached by management. Saudi Pro is hopeful of recruiting Casemiro from Manchester United this month. There are 3 clubs apparently in the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote that are interested in Casemiro. Manchester United and Spurs actively exploring a January deal to sign Randall Colomawani. We talked about that yesterday. From PSG. Marcus Rashford wanted on loan by AC Milan, but any deal will depend on Manchester United paying a sizable portion of his salary. Not a surprise. Juve interested in signing Joshua Zirkzee on loan, but the 23-year-old has no interest in leaving Manchester United. United have been offered Juve's 24-year-old Dusan Vlahovic in a swap deal. Douglas Luiz is a target for 2 Premier League clubs, with Juve and the 26-year-old open to a move. Betis, one of several clubs hoping to take Manchester United's Antony on loan for the rest of the year. Antony's also being lined up for a potential loan deal by Olympiacos. 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Crystal Palace, once again, interested in Joe Bellingham from Sunderland, valued at £20 million. West Ham's Nicholas Füllkrug is also a January target for Juve, with the Italian club keen to bring on the German international on loan. Mateus Cunha still considering his options before deciding whether to sign a new contract with Wolves. They're close in signing this new deal, but there would also be a rider in there if Wolves were to be relegated that Cunha could be released from the deal. Chelsea debating whether to recall Trevor Chalobah from his loan spell at Crystal Palace or try to sign a new defender in January. Liverpool plotting a move for Feyenoord's winger Anis Haj Musa. Liverpool have no intention of sending Federico Chiesa, who's been linked with Napoli, out on loan in January, according to the 27-year-old's agent. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo this morning across the board. So, once again, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, as we still lie in wait for the information and the news out of Atlanta United. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Provided I could spell the word soccer. Yeah, Robbie Keane has been appointed the new boss of Ferencváros, by the way. That is officially official. So, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Arsenal and Newcastle meeting up in League Cup. The Saudi King Cup, by the way, is on FS2. Part of it's going on right now, the first match of the doubleheader. And you've got one match at 10, one match at 12:30. Al Hilal and Al Ittihad is at 12:30. And Fox Deportes is simulcasting. Belgian Cup is on ESPN Plus, involving Club Brugge at 2:40. Copa del Rey, Eldense and Valencia is at 3. And then League Cup, once again, Arsenal and Newcastle. That's at 3 o'clock, and that's on Paramount Plus. So that is that's your information there. The NWSL, by the way, all 77 media partners are all returning in 2025. CBS, Paramount Plus, CBS Sports Network, Golazo Network, ABC, ESPN, The Deuce, The Plus, Deportes, Ion, NWSL Plus, and Prime. They're all coming back. CBS for the 6th year. Games are going to air on CBS as well as CBS Sports Network, Paramount Plus, and Golazo. Games are going to air on the ABC family of networks. Prime Video each regular season weekend begins with a Friday night match. Nope, nothing yet, 4Card. Still waiting. Prime Video each regular season once again gets the Friday night match. Ion gets a Saturday night match, including a doubleheader on the Scripps Network. NWSL Plus remaining regular season matches available on the domestic direct-to-consumer streaming platform. So the key dates: start of the regular season, March 14 through 16. October 31 through November 2 is the end of the regular season, quarters, semis, and finals. November 7 through 9, 14 through 16, and November 22nd is currently listed as the final for the 2025 season for the NWSL. So that is the that's the news from the NWSL front that has happened. That happened this morning. Christian Pulisic led AC Milan to a Supercoppa Italiana triumph, getting his first Italian trophy. Nothing like Conceição being there for what, like a day and a half, and finally getting a trophy. So good work by you, sir. I'm hanging out here for like a week, and I finally got my first trophy. Updating Casemiro from our buddy Danny Rust. Offered a £650,000 per week contract in Saudi Arabia. He would join Cristiano Ronaldo at Al Nassr. No talks with Manchester United at this stage. So, if you're going to get £650,000 a week times 52, that's what, $30 million a year? Shoot. If that's how you're wired, I'm sure Casemiro's sitting there going, yeah, I think I could live with that. So Tammy Abraham gets the late winner as AC Milan came from 2-0 down. The most dangerous lead in sports. 2-0 turns into a 3-2 win. Inter looked like they were going to get their 4th consecutive trophy in the tourney. Lautaro Martinez and Mehdi Taremi, either side of the break. Milan came back after the window, after the intermission. To add to Inter's woes, they lose Hakan Çalhanoğlu to a muscular injury just after half an hour. Christian Aslani came in place for the midfielder. Teo Hernandez revived hopes with a free kick after 52, chasing after that first trophy under Conceição. Pulisic grabbed the equalizer in the 80th minute. Tammy Abraham, after 93, gives the club the trophy for the 8th time and the first since 2016. Pulisic, who had scored from the penalty spot in the 2-1 semifinal win over Juve, enabled Leao to set up Abraham for the game winner. 3-time defending champs Inter had dominated Atalanta 2-0 on Thursday in the Super Cup semis, staged in Saudi Arabia for the 3rd year in a row. AC Milan's 8th Italian Super Cup trophy moves him equal with Inter Milan and behind Juve, who've won the tournament a record 9 times. 9 times. 9, people. Right now, also, still waiting on the Julian Lopetegui sweepstakes. Is Lopetegui going to get sacked? Still waiting on that. Still waiting on whether or not Graham Potter is going to be taking over, but we'll see. Still waiting for that. Is Lopetegui, A, going to get sacked? B, is it going to be Graham Potter? According to Miguel Delaney at The Independent, Potter's held talks with West Ham, but it appears, and Ropes and Tom Russo probably could yield their thoughts in the chat, in the Twitch pitch. Interest in Everton. Sean Dyche has only won once in his last 11, I believe. And so now there is a thought that perhaps the Friedkin group may dispose of Sean Dyche. You ask Tom in the Twitch pitch, he's ready for Sean Dyche to go. But, so, is Graham Potter holding out for Everton? Or is he leveraging Everton to get a better deal out of West Ham if they do, in fact, sack Julian Lopetegui? So that's the question with Graham Potter right now. Graham Potter. Still nothing out of Atlanta United on their website, by the way. Like I said, I'm checking my email and I'm refreshing the ever-loving-ish out of it. So I have seen nothing. I've seen nothing other than Red Bull signing the second division Polish striker from Midz Leźnica and Viktor Bogac. That's the latest that I've seen. That is the latest that I have seen. As when it comes to player acquisitions, Viktor Bogac for a 4-year deal with Red Bulls. So here's Delaney. West Ham remain in advanced talks with Graham Potter, despite Lopetegui taking training as normal on Tuesday morning. Lopetegui's position is seen as untenable, although much still hinges on whether Potter will decide to take the job at London Stadium. Hammers are understood to have sounded out former PSG coach Christophe Galtier, previous interest in Conceição. Potter, meanwhile, spoke with majority shareholder David Sullivan on Monday, considering his next steps. Some close to the situation feel he may be tempted by the possibility of taking an Everton team under new ownership in the expected scenario that they sack Sean Dyche. It has left Lopetegui in limbo, according to Delaney, and a position many in the game view as absurd. Absurd. West Ham have considered sacking Lopetegui on at least 2 previous occasions, only for the 58-year-old to win hinge matches against Wolves and Southampton. Those are hinge matches? It's like, bruh, beat who you're supposed to beat. Please, beat who you're supposed to beat. The trend has spiraled in the last few weeks, according to Delaney, however, resulting in a series of dismal defeats. 5-0 loss to Liverpool, 4-1 defeat at Manchester City. West Ham's 14th in the Prem. The former Real Madrid and Spain manager seen being on borrowed time, still seen as striking with how he's been allowed to continue in the job. West Ham facing Villa in the 3rd round of the FA Cup on Friday. It's become public that the club are talking to other managers about the position. Lopetegui's future further complicated by tension with technical director Tim Stuyton. I mean, it's just getting to the point to where shouldn't you just kind of just let it be out of its own misery? Just go ahead and go. It's probably better for everyone involved. Probably better for everyone involved if Lopetegui goes. But, once again, if you do that, then you're kind of forcing Graham Potter here. Graham Potter! You're kind of forcing Potter into, okay, so what do you want to do now? And then if Potter gets forced into a situation to choose, might get stuck. He might get stuck. So we'll see. Apparently, according to the Times, by the way, and Gary Jacob, Potter's move to West Ham has stalled over the length of the deal. The club wants to offer him to the end of the season. Potter wants something longer than that. Graham Potter's asking for a 2.5-year deal in an apparent shift from his position last month when he was willing to accept a short-term deal. Maybe now he just wants the longer deal. He's wanting the longer deal now. Instead of just the 6-month, just kind of kicking the tires. I think I want a 2.5 now. And so apparently that is the reason that things have stalled the way that they've stalled. West Ham first considered Potter about 6 weeks ago. They turned down his initial request for a long-term deal because they had some doubts about him, didn't want to tie themselves to a commitment. Then he was happy to compromise. But now he's back to, no, I want my longer-term deal. By comparison, David Moyes was offered a deal till the end of the season when he first took charge, and then an 18-month contract when he returned to the club. West Ham has met with Paulo Fonseca on Sunday, a week after he was dismissed by AC Milan. And once again, we mentioned Galtier, who is now at the Qatari club Al Dahail. The club have not formally announced Lopetegui's departure, and he took training on Tuesday. However, the Spaniard is not expected to be in charge for the next Premier League match at home against Fulham next Tuesday. And it's unclear who will lead them against Aston Villa in the FA Cup third round on Friday. West Ham apparently have put aside reservations on Potter, whose appointment had been supported by some senior figures and members of the coaching staff. West Ham even kicked the tires on Gary O'Neill. Michael Carrick has also been pushed internally, although he's in charge at Middlesbrough. Potter's been out of work since being sacked by Chelsea after 7 months in charge back in April 23. Linked with Leicester in the summer, turned down the chance to take over Ajax in May of last year. And then, of course, there's the whole Everton bit. West Ham need a forward after Jared Bowen sidelined up for 2 months with a fracture in his left foot, and Michail Antonio, obviously, with the automobile accident, has to recover from that. He's out for the rest of the year. They considered a loan move for Evan Ferguson, but Brighton are not expected to decide on whether or not Evan Ferguson can leave until the end of the month. West Ham have also looked at taking Chukwuemeka or Dewsbury Hall on loan from Chelsea and are linked with Bryce Mendes from Real Sociedad. Spoken to several potential replacements this week since it became clear they want to move on from Lopetegui. "39 goals, 20 league matches. 9 of those came in their last 2 matches. 9 of the 39 conceded in the last 2 matches. 4-1 defeat to Manchester City and a 5-0 loss to Liverpool. Stuyton has spent £240 million as technical director. Kudus, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Mavropanos, Andy Irving, Calvin Phillips, Kilman, Somerville, Fulkrug, Guilherme, Wan-Bissaka, and then you end up with Guido Rodriguez, Fotheringham on freeze, Mohamedou Kante for less than €500,000, Todibo and Soler on loans. £239.72 million in fees. Kudus, 43, Alvarez, 38, Prowse just under 35, Mavropanos at 20. Calvin Phillips, a €7 million loan fee for Manchester City. Kilman, 47.5. Somerville at 29. Fulkrug at 27. Guilherme at 23. Wan-Bissaka at just under 18. £239.72 million spent by Stuyton. Stuyton, who was also asked not to enter the training ground or the team's changing room toward the end of the tenure of Lopetegui's predecessor, David Moyes, last season, because he'd been speaking to potential managers about replacing him after he came from Bayer Leverkusen. Yes, 4-card, I think they are. I think 4-card is absolutely correct. It's a waiting game. 4-card, I think you're right. 4-card says, I guess they're waiting for me to go off the air. So I'm guessing, I would have thought 10 o'clock. I would have thought 10 o'clock Eastern time. But like I said, we might wait them out. We might just wait them out, damn it. Absolutely, we might. The unintentional 3-hour show waiting for a release. No, speaking of coaches, Indonesia sacked Shin Tae-yong Yeah, I know. They're usually 30 minutes. Like I said, it's like 9:05 or whatever. You're thinking 10 o'clock. But no, not today. Indonesia sec Shin Tae-yong citing that they want to chase after a World Cup slot. Looks like Patrick Kluivert might be their new manager. There had also been rumors that Louis van Gaal had been linked to the gig. Under Shin, Indonesia, third in their World Cup group after their 6 of 10 matches, 1 point behind Australia in chasing after the second automatic qualifier. If you finish third or fourth in the group, you've got to go through another round of qualifying. They could go in a fourth round of qualifying, as many as 9 slots in the finals available to Asian teams. Indonesia lost 2-1 at home to China, lost by 4 to Japan in November in qualifying for the World Cup in North America. Then they beat Saudi Arabia 2-0 as they're chasing after qualifying for the first time since the country gained independence back in 1945. There's only one player that literally is from Indonesia, Marcelino Ferdinand. Everybody else is born or raised in Europe, mainly the Netherlands, have Indonesian heritage through parents or grandparents, that kind of a thing. And so now you end up with Patrick Kluivert taking over as the front office for the National Club of Indonesia is freaking out. We're 1 point behind second place with 4 matches to go, so we're going to panic and fire our manager. No, Tom, Jarrett has not been. Jarrett has not been in yet to discuss because we're waiting for the players to be named before we come in and then have Jarrett come in and discuss. Yeah, 4 card. Definitely killing time if you're talking about the Indonesia coach. Well, the reason that I brought that up, A, is because, yeah, I'm killing time. But B, the idea that Louis van Gaal was this close to being named as a coach of a national team. It's rare that you have that. Shows you where you are. Literally, you're a point out of qualifying. The automatic qualifiers. You're a point out of automatic qualifiers. And so what do? You panic? Let's get Louis van Gaal on the clock. 11 might be the new 10. Well, we'll see. But no, we are waiting. Tom says, has Jarrett been in to discuss the other 2 Celtic Japanese players? No, he has not been in to discuss either Hatate or Maeda as opposed to Furuhashi-san. So like I said, we're waiting to find out who the individual or individuals or what the news is. We are waiting. I feel like Smales. Well, we're waiting. Before, when the player is announced or the activity is announced, then Jarrett can come in. Then we can discuss. That's kind of where we are here. That's what we're kind of staring at. That's kind of where we are here. We're kind of lying in wait, trying to determine what's going on. Matty Crooks from let's see. So Hull City finalizing a deal to sign Matty Crooks from RSL, as reported by James Hogarth at GMS. Crooks turning 31 this month, 3-5 in his lone season at RSL. I just like saying Zinkernagel. So here's the deals that we talked about this morning. We talked about Brandon Vasquez to Austin. We talked about Matthias Jurgensen finalizing a deal, LAG, to bring him in from Anderlecht and Brentford. Jalen Neal goes from LAG to Montreal. Matty Crooks goes back to England from RSL. Philip Zinkernagel from Bruges to Chicago Fire. Noel Buck called back from his loan from Southampton's U21s. We talked about Omar Campos to Cruz Azul from LAFC. Matias Kokoro once again loaned to Atlas from CF Montreal. We talked about Anis Saidi at 16 in exchange for up to $350,000 in GAM from Philadelphia Union. And Club America, by the way, rejected a bid from Orlando City for Alejandro Zendejas. 4 goals, 5 assists, 19 appearances in the Apertura. 11 caps with the USMNT, called in the first 2 camps with Pochettino. Orlando City was interested in Alejandro Zendejas. They tried to kick the tires, and it didn't work. So not so fast. Not so fast, my friends. Oh, by the way, separate and apart, Pep BL is looks like they're finalizing a deal Charlotte to bring him back on loan from Olympiacos. The new deal structured in a way that BL won't be a DP. Deal is agreed, and BL is going to head to Charlotte, joined on a short-term deal. 2 goals, 3 assists, 9 appearances. And the Chicago Fire sold Tobias Sahlquist to Nordsjælland after 1 year in Chicago with the Fire after arriving in January from Silkeborg. 1 assist in 16 appearances. So, forgot to tell you about this and about all the other promo stuff. I forgot to mention all the other promo stuff. I was on a roll. Okay, so you have about 5 days to vote for the Sports Podcast Awards, where we are up for Best Sports Talk Podcast. Vote early, vote often. Vote early, vote often. That's all I can say. We'll treat it like Chicago politics from the 70s. Cook County politics, vote early, vote often. We are in the Best Sports Talk Podcast for the SPAs here for 2025, going up against the Bros Pod, Bill Roden on Sports, the Bros Pod, Church Pew Sports, Colin Murray's 52, Historically Speaking Sports, On Tour with Sport 24, Talking Sports Books, This Day in Sports History, Unsung, You're Wrong, and Here's Why, us, the SV Pods with Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve, and something called New Heights and the Kelsey Brothers. So go to the Sports Podcast Awards, and you can vote in the Best Sports Talk Podcast category for us, one of the 12 finalists. Bros Pod, SV Pod, something called New Heights with the Kelsey Brothers, and us, and the other 8 that are engaged. So it is stunning that we have been once again nominated in these awards. I mean, it was stunning that we were in the Football Content Awards going up against networks like Sky and BBC and Golasso Network and ITV and Prime and all that kind of stuff. That was stunning in and of itself. But, yeah, we did not finish gold, silver, or bronze in that. That was Sky, BBC, and Golasso Network. And now we're going up against the Bros Pod, the SV Pods, New Heights, us, and those others that we talked about for the Sports Podcast Awards. Go vote for the Sports Podcast Awards and shoot, get out your slingshot, people. Maybe we can win. Also, when it comes to our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, they've got their new jersey out, the new 2030 No Home jersey. You can pick that up. And you can also pick up your Marshall Islands scarf that is modeled by Maddie Cruz. I know, 4-card TikTok. That's what I'm saying. So you can get your Maddie Cruz modeled international marketing campaign scarf for the Marshall Islands, where we're helping out the Marshall Islands. It was great to have Matt Webb on, the director of marketing on Friday's show. It was like our last show talking about 24, getting you ready for 25, even though the calendar already said 25. So there was that was on the board. And so get your Marshall Islands jersey, get your 2030 No Home jersey, and you can help out the Marshall Islands there, continue to build their who's-he what's-its, their base of stuff. So get your Marshall Islands gear. And you can also get voting for the Sports Podcast Awards. You can also, by the way, get your first ever SDH jersey from our friends at Olive in York. It is dark blue. It's like navy. and you have the choice of personalizing the back. You can either get it in white lettering or light blue lettering to go with the Navy jersey. It's the first ever jersey collaboration that we have with our friends at Olive and York, and net proceeds are to help out a lot of the Soccer for Good stuff that we're piecing together here in 2025. So you can go to Olive and York and get our jersey. And also, what you can also do is with our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co., you can get a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. Soccer's just better in Atlanta. I was wearing it yesterday on the show. And so what you can do is you can go to Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get the sweatshirt either in red or in black, the t-shirt in red or in black. Soccer's just better in Atlanta. And you can help out the middle school soccer programs in the Atlanta public school system. So you can help out that as well. So you can go and buy the things. You can go and buy the things. Buy all the things. And I mean it. Buy all of the things. Olive in New York, you can get your SDH jersey. Once again, those net proceeds help out causes that we've earmarked for Soccer for Good here in 2025. Grady Baby Co. You can get your Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta t-shirt, sweatshirt. Helps out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools. You can go to the Marshall Islands. You can get your Marshall Islands jerseys, your bucket hats, your scarves. I've got scarves here. So also, if you want to buy those from me, you can do that, and I can ship them to you, or I can hand them to you. So proceeds go to help out the Marshall Islands and what they're trying to build here domestically in the United States, up in the Four Corners, in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas, right there in that section. And also with what they're trying to do in the Marshall Islands as well. Lloyd Hours, is the technical director, is going back over next month for futsal and continuing to grow and all the other things. What other fan base? This is nuts. All right. So Tom has posted something else. Ooh, interesting. I mean, I could use breaking news, but I want to save the breaking news sounder for Atlanta United. Montreal have acquired Giacomo Vrioni from the Revs. Interesting. Blazing Musket, our friends at Blazing Musket were the first ones to look at that. So Vrioni joins Montreal after Kokoro goes to Atlas and Joseph's contract was not renewed. So now, yeah, they are just messing with us, Derek. They really are. So Joseph departed this winter, and so it opens a DP spot for the Revs. So the Revs just keep jettisoning people. It's like, yeah, you're out. All right, so Blazing Musket. Let me check and see what the our friends at Blazing Musket are saying about. Okay, so they don't have anything up in printed form yet. Blazing Musket, I mean, when it comes to Vrioni. So they don't have anything there. So if Vrioni is gone from the Revs, it's just traded. There's no, okay, so there's no details. No details on what's going back to the Revs in return for Vrioni. Nothing there yet. Seth McComber was the first one to report it from Blazing Musket. So Caden Clark in, Marshall Ruddy in. The 18th, and I knew I wasn't crazy. The 18th player to depart since the end of last season. I knew I wasn't crazy. Second bottom in the Eastern Conference, 18 players have departed. Added 10. Noel Buck is back. Campana, Fofana, Ceballos. So 18 out, 10 back. Vrioni now going to Montreal. That's intriguing, but like I said, we don't know what is going back the other way. So we'll keep an eye on what's going back the other way with Vrioni. Okay. So that's just weird. 18 out, 10 back, Vrioni now gone. What is the game plan for the Revs? I mean, yeah, Caden Clark is in, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy's in, yeah. All right, so let's. All right. I'm intrigued now. All right, I'm more intrigued than I was. Let's put it that way. All right, so let's look at. All right, so the Victor Bogosh deal is now officially in Spot Track. All right, so the Revs roster, 7 senior roster players. By Campana Shankalai, you don't know how healthy he is at the moment. Carlos Hill, Ivacic, Panayotu, and Polster. Supplemental, Peyton Miller, Will Sands, Santi Suarez. Non-active, Noel Buck, Ceballos, Luis Diaz, Farrell, Fofana, Fry, Langoni, McIntosh, Parisian, Jackson Yule, and Al Hassan Yusuf. Your DPs, Campana, Shankalai, Heel, and Heel. So they had 4 DPs on the roster. So they had to get rid of one. And so that's what they did. They got rid of Vrioni they had 4 DPs. And so now they're back to 3 DPs, Heel, Shankalai, and Campana. But what are they getting in return? We don't know that yet. We don't know. Okay. So, all right. So we'll see what the so that's just put that in your hip pocket. That one's just weird. I thought there was an espresso this morning, 4-card. Hang on just a second. All right. I thought there was. Hang on just a second. Because, yeah, there was. Yeah. 2 hours ago. Talked about the Supercopa, Montreal, and Vasquez. It's there. Okay. So it's there. So, yes, there was an espresso this morning. And so the Soccer for Good OG is singing the banana song. Yeah. Posted after the show started. Yes, Campana Fofana Campana Fana banana. Yeah. Fofana Campana. Yes, after the 9:30 meeting. Okay. All right. So, like I said, we're still waiting on Atlanta United. And there's nothing from GMS. There is nothing that has been posted in the Twitters. There's nothing that's been posted in any of these things. Apparently, Tormenta, by the way, is they've got an announcement coming up at 1:00, and they've got tryouts on January 25th. If you are interested, you think you can go down there? Then what you can do, you got tryouts on the 25th. It's an open tryout, January 25th, with our friends from Tormenta, but otherwise they have news coming up at 1:00 at what's going on in USL League One. So USL Championship, there have been some player moves. Once again, we mentioned Lexington signing Nicholas Firmino yesterday and Sofiane Jafal from San Antonio FC. Hartford signed Samuel Cariaga on loan from Lanús. Switchbacks bringing in Anthony Fontana, former Philadelphia Union homegrown, signs after a stint with PEC Zwolle in the Eredivisie. Niall Cabe signs a new deal for 25. Phoenix Rising acquired Carl Saint on loan from FC Dallas. 6 appearances in MLS. Competed previously for New Mexico United. Vegas Lights bringing in Christian Pinzon to a new deal. 3 goals, 4 assists, 24 appearances last year. So, so nothing from Tommy Scoops, nothing from Doug Robertson. Like I said, I'm looking at the 280 character app and I ain't found nothing. Switchbacks also brought in forward Levante Johnson and veteran defender Akeem Ward. Lamar Batista has made a move to FC Tulsa. Ethan Bryant signed a multi-year deal with Monterey Bay. Luis Fernando. Keep an eye on all the Memphis 901 guys and where they're headed this year. It's a lot of scoring talent that's going to be available to USL Championship. New Mexico United bringing in Luis Fernando. That's a big pickup for them. Kendall Burke signs with Lexington SC. Isaac Anking is one of 3 signings for Rhode Island FC. So USL League One, you had One Knox. They came in with their signings. Ashkenov Apollon joins AV Alta. 74 appearances in championship in League One since 2020. Fricky, Pollock, and Rankenberg have all re-signed with Greenville Triumph. So veteran defender Brandon Fricky, Tyler Pollock, promising keeper Gunther Rankenberg, pending league and federation approval. Fricky and Pollock have been with the Triumph since 2020 and 2019. Helped them with the title in 2020 and the Players' Shield. Only 2 of 9 players in League One history who participated in all 6 previous seasons. Fricky was the 2020 League One Defender of the Year, 4-time All-League selection. Tyler Pollock has been named the All-League first team on 2 occasions. Fricky's 141 league appearances, 3rd in league history. Pollock's 136 are 5th. Fricky has played 11,915 minutes, 2nd in league history. Pollock, 11,570. There are only 2 of 3 players in the history who have amassed 60 or more League One victories. Rankenberg played at Georgia State, earning All-MAC first team in 21, All-MAC tournament team honors in 21. Played for Peachtree City MOBA, was on the 2019 League 220 under 20. Began his professional career in 23 in Greenville. 7 clean sheets and 23 appearances. So you end up with another couple of players signing and going back to Greenville. You've got a couple of new keepers that are signing with Lalo Delgado at FC Naples. You've got Tony Halterman and Joel Serrano, who both played under Matt Poland at Chicago House AC. They also signed Ian Cerro and Max Glasser. So FC Naples is gradually getting their roster together. Luca Mastrantonio, who you might remember at Union Omaha, is now back in League One at AV Alta. So there are folks that are piecing things together. Westchester has signed a couple of players. Cohen Blamenstein, Daniel Bowman, and Dean Diego Guezen to add to the roster here in season number 1. And so that is your transactions there. Let's take a peek at juice boxes because we haven't had the chance to take a peek at the juice boxes here today and find out what's going on in England when it comes to the FA Cup today. FA Cup's in a couple days. Is it Leagues Cup that's today? What is it? It's EFL Cup. Is it EFL Cup or EFL Trophy? Today, Arsenal and Newcastle in the EFL Cup. Arsenal's a minus 119, and your draw is a plus 261. Newcastle is a plus 323 in your EFL Cup today. Tomorrow in the EFL Cup, it is Spurs and Liverpool. Liverpool a minus 145. Spurs, by the way, at home are a plus 305 when it comes to the EFL Cup. So set your fantasy teams appropriately because ain't nothing happening this week. And ain't nothing happening until next Tuesday. So you've got another day where you can sit there and kind of piece things together. It is an SDH filibuster, Derek. It is, without question. But I am trying my damnedest to make sure that all of the news is out there before we figure out what's going on and Atlanta United stops their filibuster and we can actually find out what's going on. Is it a tour? Is it a player? Celtic center back Stephen Welsh has completed a medical with KV Mechelin from Anthony Joseph. Kavi Solikal says that West Ham have interviewed Potter and 2 more others. No guarantees that Potter, once again, from Kavi Solikal, no guarantees Lopetegui will be in charge for the next match. Friday night, Aston Villa FA Cup. Yeah, really, 4-card. That's probably what I should do is just end the show so you can get the news. So Martin Dubravka looks like he might get sold to Saudi Arabia. Al-Shabaab said to have made an approach for the 36-year-old keeper. And let me see what I'm missing here. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers believes Stephen Welsh's proposed loan move to Mechlin will be good for the defender's career. Should Chelsea sign Gahey? Perhaps, maybe not. Ange is reluctant to add more defensive additions. Ben Davies, Mickey Van de Ven, Christian Romero soon to return from injury. Destiny Udogie working his way back to full fitness. We mentioned Young-min Son and his contract for 2026. Borussia Dortmund once again considering a move for Marcus Rashford. Dortmund preparing for the exit of Aston Villa target Daniel Malen, trying to explore what to do in the interim. And Aberdeen are close to a center back deal. And Slavia Prague are looking to add somebody from Milana Boleslav in a forward. Tell you what, Brighton remain interested in Vitor Reis, an 18-year-old center back from Palmeiras. All right, so it's 11:20. I've filibustered as much as I think I can. It is my fault. It is absolutely my fault. For real. Tom says it's my fault. I don't know. Is it a tour? Is it a player? Is it players? I don't know. And so, so 4Card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just come back tomorrow. Because I thought it would be at 10 o'clock when you announce something at 9. Then you announce something maybe at 10. Not happening. None of it happened. Didn't happen at 11 o'clock. All we got was Victor Bogash signing with Red Bulls. And Giacomo Vrioni, the fourth DP, leaving Revs and heading to CF Montreal. So here's what we're going to do. Just to let you know, tomorrow, Tyler's going to join us at 9:15. We'll see if Dylan Butler can join us at 10. Go through everything going on in Major League Soccer. Thursday, Power Hour is Nino and Nico, hour number 2. Don't know what's going on in hour number 1. It might just be still stuff discussing from what happened on Wednesday. Friday, we'll see if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us. And then they absolutely are. They absolutely are waiting, Kevsey, until it's over. So so Friday, we'll see if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us. I believe in hour number 2, the new head coach from Carolina Core and MLS Next Pro is going to join us. So we'll catch up, find out what's going on with Core as well. And so that's the rundown for the week. And so that's the rundown for today, for the rest of the week. So when the news breaks, when the show is officially over, then what we'll do is we will we'll talk about it with Tyler tomorrow. And hopefully I won't be coughing into a microphone. Like I said, I got the ENT visit later this afternoon. So we'll see what kind of trouble we can get into. Thank you for your forbearance and listening to me cough into a microphone. And I tried. Yeah, I know. So, I was trying to think of all of the things that we could talk about. You've got all your news. You've got all your info. You've got what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all that kind of stuff. So, because Atlanta United is waiting until this show is over before they announce things, let's take bets and figure out how long it's going to take. When I sign off the show for the morning, how long it's going to take them to announce what's going on. We'll find out. No, we ain't discussing the Falcons. Wrong kind of football. So there we go. Thanks again, once again, for dropping by, as you guys always do. And we will discuss things again tomorrow. Tyler Pilgrim joining us at 9:15 for the Atlanta United Journalistic Information Exchange program that we always have. We'll talk about Tyler. And we'll see if Atlanta United actually does announce something between now and then. So 4Card is saying 6 minutes after we hang up that they'll announce it. So we'll see what happens at 11:30. And then just keep an eye out on all the social media and all the things. And we'll continue to roll from here. So thanks for dropping by, as you always do. OG is saying 13 minutes, so 11:37. So y'all are taking bets. Yes, top of the agenda for Tyler for tomorrow at 9:15. So mucha plata, y'all play it safe. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this one more time. We got teased at 9:05. Nothing happened yet, and I'm sure it will the second we hang off the air. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you in the morning.